You had a good thing, maybe a relationship that was finally working, a job opportunity that matched something you'd wanted for years, a friendship that felt real, a creative project that was going somewhere, a version of yourself, healthier, more present, more at peace, that had started to actually take shape. And then something happened. Not from outside, not bad luck or poor timing or circumstances beyond your control. From you. A decision that didn't make sense. A conversation that didn't need to happen the way it happened. A withdrawal that had no real cause. A self-destruction so quiet and so efficient that by the time anyone noticed, including you, the good thing was already gone. And you stood in the wreckage of something that was working and couldn't fully explain how you'd gotten there. Welcome to about one of the most painful and least understood patterns in human psychology. Not failure, not bad luck, not poor judgment in the ordinary sense. The unconscious, systematic dismantling of the things that were actually good for you. And why, once you understand what's actually driving it, it will never look the same way again.
Let's be precise. Self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It is not stupidity. It is not some fundamental inability to handle good things. It is a psychological defense mechanism, one that operates largely below the level of conscious awareness, designed to protect you from something your nervous system perceives as threatening. The problem is that what it's protecting you from is often the very thing you want most. In its simplest form, self-sabotage is the gap between what you consciously want and what your unconscious system will allow you to have. You want the relationship, the career, the health, the version of your life that matches the one you've imagined. But somewhere underneath the wanting, in a part of the system that doesn't speak in language, that speaks in impulse and avoidance and inexplicable behavior, there is a belief about what you deserve, about what is safe, about what happens to people like you when things go well. And that belief is running the show, quietly, consistently, often invisibly, until the good thing is gone and you're left wondering what happened.
Because it doesn't always look the same. And not recognizing it means not being able to interrupt it. Phase 1. Picking fights when things are good. The relationship has found its footing. There is warmth, stability, genuine connection. And right in that stability, you find the thing. The small thing. The thing that in any other context you'd let pass without comment. And you pull on it. Not because it needs pulling, but because the stability itself has activated something. A restlessness, a suspicion, a need to reintroduce uncertainty into something that has become too safe to feel real. The fight isn't about what the fight is about. It's about reestablishing the emotional frequency your nervous system recognizes as home. Phase 2. Disappearing at the threshold. You get close to finishing the thing, launching the thing, committing to the thing, saying yes to the thing that could change everything. And right at the threshold, right when it's about to become real, you disappear. You go quiet, become unavailable, find reasons the timing isn't right, start a different project, develop a sudden uncertainty about whether this is what you really want. The threshold is where self-sabotage is most active, because the threshold is where potential becomes reality. And reality can be measured, can be found insufficient, can fail to match the version that existed safely in imagination. Staying at the threshold keeps the dream intact. Crossing it risks finding out what you're actually made of. Phase 3. Oversharing too soon. In a new relationship, professional or personal, things are going well. And then, before trust has been fully established, before the relationship can hold the weight of it, you share too much, too raw, too unfiltered. Not because you don't know better, because something is trying to accelerate the moment of rejection. If they're going to leave when they see the real you, better to find out now, before you've invested more, before the loss could hurt more. The overshare is an unconscious test, and sometimes it destroys the thing before the thing ever had the chance to decide. Phase 4. Chronic lateness and forgetting. The important meeting you arrived late to. The deadline you missed without quite understanding how. The opportunity you forgot to respond to until the window had closed. These are not always disorganization. Sometimes they are the body voting against something the mind has agreed to. The body that is tired of performing, that doesn't believe the outcome will be what was promised, that would rather not arrive at all than arrive and be found wanting. Chronic lateness to important things is sometimes the most literal form of self-sabotage. You simply don't show up for the things you're afraid of. Phase 5. Choosing the wrong moment to be honest. The relationship, the friendship, the professional dynamic, everything is in a good place. And you choose this moment, this specific, unnecessary moment, to say the thing that needed to be said 6 months ago, or didn't need to be said at all. Not because honesty is wrong, but because the timing is precise in its destructiveness. When things are difficult, honesty can be a bridge. When things are good, poorly timed honesty can be a grenade. And some part of the self-sabotaging mind knows exactly when to pull the pin. Phase 6. Success followed immediately by undoing. You achieve something real and earned and worth being proud of. And within days, sometimes hours, you do something that begins to dismantle it. Spend the money that needed to be saved. Behave in a way that damages the reputation you just built. Make the decision that starts unraveling the progress you just made. The success felt wrong, unfamiliar, like wearing someone else's clothes. And the undoing restores a more familiar landscape, one where you are not further ahead than you believe you deserve to be.
Now we go to where it actually comes from. Because none of those patterns are random. None of them are meaningless. Every act of self-sabotage is the expression of something real. Fear of success. This sounds counterintuitive until you sit with it. Success comes with expectations, maintenance, the pressure to sustain what was achieved, the visibility that comes with having made something work. And for people who are more comfortable operating below their potential, who have, for whatever reason, built an identity around struggle rather than arrival, success is genuinely threatening. Not because they don't want it, but because they don't know who they are inside it. Failure is familiar. Success is unknown. And the unknown, as we've established in many videos in this series, is where the threat detection system fires. Unworthiness running as a background program. Somewhere, often installed early, often through experiences that had nothing to do with the person's actual worth, a belief took root. I don't deserve good things. I don't deserve this relationship. I don't deserve this opportunity. People like me don't get to have things like this. This belief doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a manifesto or a clear statement of intent. It arrives as behavior, as the inexplicable decision, as the conversation that didn't need to happen, as the withdrawal that had no cause. It's the belief acting on its own behalf,
keeping you inside the territory it has decided is yours. Fear of loss, preempted by control. If something good can be taken away, if the relationship can end, the opportunity can evaporate, the progress can collapse, then the most painful outcome is the one that arrives without warning. Being blindsided, being caught in the middle of hope. And so the self-sabotaging mind preempts that. It ends the thing before the thing can end itself, on its own terms, at a moment of its own choosing. At least this way I decided. The illusion of control over an outcome that was always going to feel like loss. The identity that doesn't match the good thing. You have a self-concept, a story about who you are, what kind of person, what kind of partner, what kind of professional, what kind of life you occupy. When something good arrives that doesn't match that story, when the relationship or the opportunity or the version of yourself is better than the story allows for, the mind experiences a dissonance. And one of two things resolves it. You update the story, or you destroy the thing that contradicts it. Self-sabotage is often the mind choosing the second option because the first one feels more dangerous. Because updating the story means letting go of an identity that, however limiting, has been the structure everything else is built on.
Here is the thing that changes the way you see this. Self-sabotage is not stupidity. It is not weakness. It is not some fundamental brokenness that separates you from the people who manage to keep the good things in their lives. It is protection. Misguided, costly, ultimately counterproductive protection, but protection nonetheless. The nervous system that learned early that good things collapse, that safety is temporary, that the higher you go, the further you can fall. That nervous system is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to keep you at an altitude where the fall won't kill you. It is trying, with whatever tools it developed, to prevent the specific pain of losing something you allowed yourself to fully want. Understanding that doesn't excuse the behavior, but it makes it legible in a way that changes what you do next. Because you cannot heal a protection response by attacking it. You can only heal it by addressing what it's protecting against. The interruption begins with recognition, not the retrospective recognition, the one that arrives after the good thing is already gone. The real-time recognition. The capacity to notice in the moment that the impulse you're feeling, to pick the fight, to disappear, to send the message, to make the decision, is the pattern moving. That noticing is a skill, and like all skills, it develops with practice. Ask the question before the action. When you feel the pull toward the behavior, the withdrawal, the unnecessary honesty, the fight that doesn't need to happen, pause long enough to ask one question. Is this what I want? Or is this the pattern protecting me from something I'm afraid of losing? You don't have to have the answer immediately. The pause itself is the intervention. Name the belief underneath the behavior. What does the self-sabotage believe? That you don't deserve this? That it's going to end anyway? That success will change you into someone you don't recognize? That people will leave once they see the real version? Name it. Write it down if you have to. Make it visible enough to examine. Because beliefs that operate in the dark have power that beliefs brought into the light begin to lose. Build the evidence that contradicts the belief. The belief was installed through experience. It can be uninstalled the same way, slowly, through repeated experiences that contradict it. Staying in the good thing one day at a time and noting that the catastrophe didn't come. Receiving the good thing without destroying it and registering what that feels like in the body. Building
brick by brick, an alternative story about what kind of person you are and what kind of life you're allowed to occupy. This is not fast work, but it is the only work that actually changes the pattern at the root.
The good things you've destroyed were not destroyed because you're broken. They were destroyed by a part of you that was trying, in the only way it knew how, to keep you safe. That part of you learned something early, about what happens when you want things fully and they disappear, about what it costs to be caught hoping, about the particular devastation of losing something you had allowed yourself to believe was really yours. And it decided, silently on your behalf without asking, never again. That decision has cost you. It has cost you relationships, opportunities, versions of yourself that were beginning to emerge before something inside pulled them back. But it was never made out of malice. It was made out of love. A frightened, misguided, ultimately harmful love. But love for the person who was once hurt badly enough to need that kind of protection. The work now is not to punish that part of you. It is to tell it, slowly, through action more than words, that you can handle this. That you are not the person who needed to be protected at all costs anymore. That you are ready, finally, to stay in the good thing long enough to find out what it holds. Not because the risk of loss has disappeared, but because the life of constant protection, the life lived just below the altitude where things could hurt you, is its own kind of loss. And you are done paying for it. I'm Thought Paradox. If this named something you've been doing without fully understanding why, share it with someone who needed the same explanation. See you in the next one.